Hey guys, in this video we're going to be painting this gorgeous tree. To start, of course, you need your canvas out with a sketch. I got my paper plate, some paper towels, got an assortment of brush sizes. I should have changed my water, but I forgot. I've got this medium, small, probably this liner brush as well. We'll see how it goes. And your paint colors, I've got these three and white, so black, red, blue, white. To get them out of your tubs, the easiest way is to just use a little butter knife and take a little scoop out. And these paints I've been using for about a month now, so I've been keeping them clean so I can keep using them. I don't want to waste them, so still working on them. So your excess, you're just gonna wipe off on a towel. That way your knife is nice and clean, and you're not getting all your colors kind of mixed in your other tubs. Make sure you get your lid snapped back on. I got blue all over my hand. Ugh. Usually I don't create such a mess. I hear Jossie, she's barking to come in. I could grab her before I get started, probably. Some black. Maybe she's upstairs barking, I can't really tell. She's a pain in the butt. And then there's some white. I've used all my weight out of my tub, so go into the big jug. So to get started, I'm going to just use my Sharpie and trace the outline of this tree. Some of these branches are really skinny, so I try to stay on the inside of the line. That way they don't get too thick when I'm painting them. And it doesn't have to be perfect. It's a tree, all trees are different. This is just so when we paint our background, we don't have to go around all these branches. We can just paint right through them. All right, let that dry a little. We don't want to smear it. And you do want to use an actual Sharpie marker. Probably other ones work just as well, but I've not used other ones, and I don't want it to smear on you or bleed through. So I do recommend an actual Sharpie brand black permanent marker. And we're just gonna get started with this kind of medium size. Oop, mine is not clean. That towel's a mess. Oh my goodness. New towel. And get my brush cleaned out. I'm gonna start with just some white. I'm gonna kind of create like a circle-y shape around this area, and maybe some white down in this area. So just white paint, nothing, no mixing. It's gonna go right over top of all this. Get this nice kind of circle-y shape filled in. Get all my globs and blobs spread out. I can make sure I can see that pencil, well, not really pencil, but that Sharpie through it. I'm working fairly quickly because I'm going to be doing some blending and I don't want this to be completely dry. If it does dry, probably will. Not a big deal. You can just add more white onto it. Go kind of all the way up here. Bring it down. I've got this nice white patch in this area here. Just spreading out my paint. And down here, I'm gonna do something similar, but more kind of like this oblong shape. All the way to the bottom. And I'm using a smaller canvas probably than you are. I'm pretty sure this is in bundle 2. And the canvas size is 11 by 14. This is an 8 by 10. The process is exactly the same. You're just gonna have a bigger canvas and you're gonna be using more paint. Okay, so now I want to kind of get some pinks in there. So a little bit of red and with a lot of white. So it's a pretty pale pink. Just gonna kind of dab it in. Don't want to get it too thick, because I want to be able to see those branches. Get my edges focused on a little bit, and I'm just every which way, and because my paint is wet, it is allowing it to blend and kind of soften. And if your paint isn't wet and blendable, just take more white, just kind of smush it around. We have some different shades of pink, some lighter and some darker in there. I'm going to add some down here in this area. And this is a little more dry, so I'm just going to add some white in. I want a little bit of purple in there as well. I'm going to take just a little bit of my blue, mix it in with some of this pink. I'm going to add a little bit more red, a little bit more blue, more red. I kind of want it like a pinkish purple, something like that. And I need some more white. A little bit lighter. Kind of add in some purples, and if it's not blending, just take some white on your brush. Help smush it around. So this is kind of on the outside edge, and you can see my brush strokes are just every which way. Again, that's a little dry. Just take some more white. And I don't have much on my brush at all. A little more white. And maybe put a little bit in within this area of the tree. Add some down here also. It's just super messy, getting it spread out and kind of blended. So now I'm going to get real dark. I'm going to clean out my brush. And I'm going to just do black around my edges. And then I'm going to overlap again using my light colors. This is a little scary. It's gonna look kind of crazy to start, but it will get better. So I'm just gonna get this corner filled in black. In here, I'm gonna make sure I don't get it on my tree because I want to be able to see my tree. I'm basically just gonna kind of fill in around all the color I already have on my canvas. Then we're gonna overlap it and kind of merge the two together, if that makes any sense at all. This is one of those paintings that looks ridiculous during the process, but it does come together in the end. At least I'm hoping. I've not ever painted it before, so here's to you and me both just trusting I know what I'm doing. Get these corners filled in, a little bit on the edge. Got a big old blob right there. I'm gonna try to wipe that off before it dries. There, and then I can put some, I can cover that later with some more of the colors. So you should have something kind of like this. And I'm going to put in some deeper reds, like kind of purpley reds, and some dark purples. So let's mix up some, like a red, like a reddish purple, I guess. So red and a little blue. So it kind of makes this red, magenta, fuchsia-y color. And I do need to add a little bit of white to that. Help it stand out on top of the black. So I'm going to just kind of brush it on over here. It's okay that it's blending with the black. Put some over in here. And maybe a little up in here. And it's very loose, just kind of blobbing it on, spreading it out. I'm gonna make a little bit of another shade of purple. I'm having such a hard time with my towels. I'm going to add a little bit more white to this. And I can blob some of this in. the edge here. And it's just kind of every which way with my brush. You can add a little bit more of your darker purples in too. Get them to kind of squish together. And another shade of purple that's a little bit more on the blue end. This was a little bit more on the red end. So we'll do a scoop of blue and then add a little bit of red. Yeah, a little bit more red. Then again, a nice scoop of white. So I could add a little bit more red to this because we're still very blue. There we go. So this is a little bit more purpley. It's kind of like a really dark periwinkle. And then maybe a little bit more white. So I still have a little of the dark left, just in case I need it. I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing. Never done it before. I'm just gonna add some of this one in and pat it. And put some over here. Get some up over here. I'm gonna add some white into that, just on my dirty brush. Just a little bit of white. Smush it. Maybe a little bit more of my dark purpley red. So get a little bit more blending action on that. I'm gonna clean my brush, and then I'm just gonna take little bits of white and just kind of soften all my little blobs. So it's just gonna be a very little bit of white on my brush. Oop, that's a lot. Too much. Down here. Every which way with your brush. Kind of smoothen that out some. Take just a little bit of black on my brush. Just kind of get these edges looking a little smoother as well. Just a little bit A little bit goes a long way, especially with black. Just kind of get them to kind of smush together and soften a little. Excuse me. Now I'm going to paint my tree. So I want to make sure all this is dry. Yep. So you're going to use a combination of different brushes. I'll probably use this small square brush to do like the trunk and the bigger parts of the branches. Then I'll switch to this liner brush, excuse me, to do the tiny little tapered ends. And I'm just going to use black paint and just take my time and get that all filled in and making sure that I have my Sharpie line covered. So I'll just probably start over here, work my way so I can continue to rest my hand somewhere that the paint is dry. And this is going to take a little bit of time, so just be patient. So I'm leaving the tips kind of alone so I can go back in with my skinny brush and get nice points. Although a lot of this is going to get covered with little dabs. So if you end up getting a funky area, don't worry, you can just put some dabs on it and all will be well. switching brushes and get all the tiny bits. Chelsea. She wants out. She doesn't need out, but this is what she does all day long. She needs to go investigate outside. It's terrible outside too. It's like hail, sleet, rain, snow. I don't know what it is, but it's icy and terrible. You can add additional branches if you wish. This side looks a little thin, but it's gonna have a lot of knobs, so it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna let this dry, aka give it a good blow drying. If you don't have a blow dryer handy, just give it some time, especially using the liner brush. It does leave big kind of globs. Don't love it, but it's the way it is. Let's just get some good white dabs in. I'll use my small square brush. If you have a little sponge, that would work really well for this too. Just a little sponge. But I do not. So we're just using white paint. I'm gonna dab it off. And I'm just gonna go in and just put little dabs all over. Make sure you get down on the tree. Some can kind of come up and off. And this is where you can kind of hide like your transitional colors on your background. We're just putting dabs all over. Make sure you get on your tree. Then I'm gonna do some pink ones. So this is kind of light pink. I'm gonna make a little bit more. Just a nice light pink. A little darker than before. Try to get a little more white in. I'll dab some of those in. I do these in kind of like little clusters. So here's a little cluster. A little cluster over here. A cluster over here. So these are just kind of in clumpy groups. They're not all over. Just a nice cluster here. Pretty full. Put some down here. And let's add some down in here. These I'm kind of like blending in with some of the white ones. Lots of little dabs. a few random ones just to kind of overlap onto some of the random white ones. Now I'm going to go in with just bright red. Same little brush. Same idea. There's going to be little dabby clusters. So a little cluster up here. Kind of going on where I have all the pink ones, I'm just adding some little red clusters to all my pink clusters. I'm gonna add a few. So I have this dark purpley red color. I'm gonna add some of those down in the bottom as well. Get a little bit more of that color in there. This kind of dark red. More kind of in this black area. Up in here a few. See if my arm is in the way, better move that. And maybe just some kind of on this perimeter kind of where the light and the dark kind of meet. Just a few. And I think we're done. If you want to go in and add a little bit more white, maybe up here could be a little fuller, more full with white dabs. Just kind of brighten them up. But this is really pretty. We can add a few more in here. Just to kind of brighten up the edge. Gorgeous. I love this. And this wasn't really hard. It seems kind of hard, but it's very forgiving. Like, your blending on the outside edge doesn't need to be perfect. Your colors don't need to be exact. Overall, it's gonna move like a tree. Pretty sure. Confident in y'all's abilities. I signed my name. And we are finished. Hope you enjoyed painting this with me. And if you'd like to share, I'd like to see your finished works, please post to my Facebook page, the @ Paint Willy-Nilly, or you can do that right to the wall, or you can send me a private message. Either way, I don't mind. I want to see them. Please share. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one.